Lose yourself in a good book. The Board Gosh Energy Book Club.
Now, a football team that rises from relative obscurity and overcomes massive odds to achieve international acclaim. Sound familiar? No, not Leicester. This is the remarkable story of how Northern Ireland came within one match of facing Brazil, Pelé and all, at the semi-finals of the 1958 World Cup. Joined now by Evan Marshall, author of Spirit of 58, which tells the incredible untold story heretofore of Northern Ireland's greatest football team. You're very welcome, sir. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much indeed.
When or why or how did you get this notion to put this book together?
Well, I just attracted to sort of forgotten history. Grew up being aware that Northern Ireland had gone to the World Cup.
Yeah.
But the story behind it had sort of been forgotten. And I always sort of felt quite sad that these men had become old men and they hadn't been given the kudos that they deserved, because everyone remembered the team from the 80s. But this team had done even better in the past. And that was why I became attracted to it. And then as you peeled the layers off, you saw it was a very, very Irish story. We did things our own way, and there's just so much that people didn't know, and I thought, well, this has got to be told.
Well, there's even the notion that they might not be allowed to go and represent.
Well, this is the sort of thing could only happen in Ireland, where Northern Ireland qualified for the World Cup as a little minnow nation in those days. And then their own football association tried to stop them from going because they would be playing games on a Sunday. And you think, well, that could only happen here, really.
Thankfully, I suppose, in one sense, common sense was seen.
Common sense prevailed, yes.
And away they went. Now, the team itself, there are some immense characters and some footballing royalty now, and it's great that the stories come to the fore. Let's start, though, with the man who brought them together and put the team together and brought them to the finals, the manager. Yeah,
Peter Doherty, again, a man who's been sort of forgotten about from footballing history in Ireland. But pre-George Best, he was considered to be the finest Irishman who had ever played. And he had just come to the tail end of his career. Northern Ireland were getting beat 8-2 and 9-2 in the home championships. And basically, the IFA said, this can't go on. And so they decided to appoint a manager for the first time. And who else could they turn to? Only their greatest ever player. And he just inspired the team, because all the players of that era had grown up watching him.
So he was their hero.
Yeah, their hero. So when he said do something, they did it. You know, they wanted to please this man. He inspired them.
Talk a little bit about one of the biggest characters, Harry Gregg, because I mean, down to the years, he was seen as very forthright and very open and very didn't tolerate fools, I suppose, is probably the best way to put it. But he was a remarkable man because he was a hero.
Well, this is it, because he's a winner. You know, it's much the same as Roy Keane. You know, I mean, you wouldn't want to get in the wrong side of Roy Keane, and you wouldn't want to get in the wrong side of Harry Gregg either. But it's because the man wants to win. You know, and he was a winner his whole. He just absolutely pushed himself to win, and you know. That's why he was a hero even in the air disaster, of course, he came through.
But he was pulling people out of that plane.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. And,
I mean, he's an indomitable man, just imbued with this tremendous spirit.
And I think he gave a lot of help to Northern Ireland footballers gone down through the years, and indeed to previous Manchester United keepers.
Oh, indeed, yes.
Particularly, like, obviously, those that came after him. He didn't play in all of the games of the World Cup.
No, he ended up getting injured against West Germany. He got injured very early in the game, and of course there were no substitutes then, so he pushed himself to play on, because that's the kind of guy he is, and produced probably the finest performance of his career. And yes, didn't play in the next game, which meant that.
And there's another story from this, isn't there?
Well, this is my favourite part of the whole story, because a guy called Norman New Pritchard came in as a stand-in goalkeeper, because Harry Gregg was on a walking stick. And in the first 5 minutes of this crucial game, which would take them to the quarter-finals of the World Cup, he rips his ankle ligaments. The Irish trainer, Jerry Morgan, comes on, famously poured 2 bottles of Irish whiskey over the damaged ankle ligaments. I'm not sure what effect that had.
The significance is, yeah.
But then, you know, Pritchard kept going and then broke his hand and had to play on with one hand and one leg. And again,
he couldn't write
he dug deep and he produced himself the finest performance of his career to get Northern Ireland to the quarterfinals of the World Cup.
Where does that team rate in your view? You know, as against the teams that came after, particularly I suppose 82, 86, and the new crop today.
Oh, it's the finest. Because the 82, 86 team was, you know, sort of middling players who performed beyond. The team now, it's an even lower rank of sort of maybe ability, but they've somehow got this great team spirit. In '58, it was a team of glittering superstars, really, but who also had this added level of being able to just be more than some of their parts.
Well, of course, Danny Blanchflower was in there.
Well, Danny Blanchflower was the greatest footballer in Britain at the time.
Exactly.
You know? And he had all this, tremendous wit. I mean, he had this line famously that which only an Irishman could come out with, which was, our tactics have always been to try and equalise before the other team scores.
His brother was involved, and he retired injured, didn't he?
Yeah,
Jackie.
well, much has been made of Johnny Evans and Corey Evans
Yeah.
being the first brothers to perform for Northern Ireland at a major tournament. But that would have happened in '58 because Danny and Jackie Blanchflower would have played in the World Cup only for the Munich air disaster, which was just 4 months before the World Cup. And Harry Gregg and Jackie Blanchflower both involved in that. Jackie, unfortunately, he survived it, but his injuries, he never played
Couldn't
again.
play football again, which again is awful. But again, he was one of the lucky ones. He managed to survive it. And then some of these players went on to become very successful coaches and managers.
Oh, yeah, indeed, yes.
Blanchflower included. And Billy Bingham, I suppose, would be the one that jumps out there straight away.
Yeah, I mean, this is one of the forgotten parts of the story. Everyone remembers Bingham as the manager, but they forget that he was actually a player
as well.
of great note back in the '50s.
Yeah, and of course, I think he did a stint at Everton as well, didn't he?
That's right,
He
yeah.
did. But then, of course, he brought them to the 2 World Cups, and I think he nearly got them to another tournament.
The Euros in '84,
Yeah, and then, of course, he retired after that bad clash, that draw in Northern Ireland, 93 in Windsor Park. I was at that, and it was very foul-tempered, and it was an awful night. But anyway, it was then he retired afterwards, and it was a pity that he went out that way. But he'll be remembered fondly, I think, by Northern Ireland football fans.
I think he probably stayed on too many years.
Yeah.
'86 maybe would have been a good time to bow out. When the team was aging.
Just on this current crop, I mean, for me, up until obviously Iceland, as I was saying to you, they were the team of the tournament. Because looking at what Michael O'Neill has done with the group of players that aren't blessed with brilliant individual skills in the main, he's nothing short of astonishing what he's done with them.
Oh, well, it's incredible. I mean, the previous campaign, we were getting beat by Luxembourg and Azerbaijan. And then suddenly, from the 5th pot of the draw, he suddenly tops the group. And it's incredible. I mean, I never thought that we'd be qualifying for anything again.
And it's been a remarkable tournament for them. They got a huge welcome home.
Yes.
And then they'll be building, obviously, for the World Cup qualifiers to come forward. So they're good times for Northern Ireland football.
Good times for football on the island as a whole. I think both Irelands have not only performed beyond their abilities, but also their fans have just been such
both
stars.
sets of fans have been, absolutely.
They're welcome back anywhere. People love them,
which is great.
Which isn't to
can't be said for everybody. Indeed. Now, there's a documentary. Where can people get that if they want to watch it?
Well, we've been showing it at festivals and so on, so keep an eye out for that. But yes, we made the film last year, and then the book came out this year.
All right, and the book available in all good bookstores.
That's right. Yes.
All right, Evan, it's been a pleasure. Thank you very much for
joining us.
Not a problem.
Thank you.
Now, would you like to be in with a chance of winning a book club goodie bag and Versus tablet? All you have to do is work out what famous author we're describing. We'll be giving out clues during book club every Tuesday. So if you don't work it out this morning, don't worry. Today's clue is he was a blooming good writer. Check out our Facebook page for details on how to enter.
Lose yourself in a good book. The Bord Gáis Energy Book Club.